So I think I've been asked like 20 times just this year, am I a catfish? Are you real? Can you take a picture with a fork? I'm not taking a picture with a fork. I'm like, what is that noise? What the heck is that noise? Y'all, I feel like I haven't seen y'all mad long. I haven't come, shared updates, haven't shared much music, haven't shared much. So what the heck is going on in my world? Let me tell you, man, I'm working and I feel great. For the past maybe 2 or 3 months, I've been going back to Chicago more often. Y'all that don't know, I used to live in Chicago for 4 years before I moved to Ohio. And Chicago truly has my heart. Chicago, the art scene, the music scene, the photography scene, the model scene, everything going on. It's very fruitful, it's very blessed, it's very thorough and robust. And there's so many different talented people in the city of Chicago that I love being there. And every time I go back now, it reminds me that nowhere else is Chicago. And the energy, the hustle and bustle, the pace, fiery people around there that are passionate and driven. You just don't get it on that high of a scale in many places in this world. And Chicago is one of the few. So a while back, I shared a video about how I felt broken. I'm growing past that. I'm still working on self-forgiveness. I'm still working on overcoming some traumas and demons. Side note, yesterday I got a mental health evaluation. I won't tell y'all what the results were, but they were pretty surprising to me. I am back in therapy. I'm going to church, going to my small group. I've been very adamant about how can I become and develop into the man that I would like to see in the mirror. Not who people assume I am, not who people would like me to be, not who this person thinks I may be. Who do I really want to be, and how can I embody that day by day, even through my falls and my missteps and my backsliding. I'm human, right? What I love, the album, I won't give y'all much detail. It's still in the very early stages. I'm gonna say first and foremost, shout out to my brother Ro. Tapped in with me back in 2021 when I was still in Chicago, and we had a session. We met for the first time in person. I think prior to that, we had only spoken on social media here and there. We've seen each other's stuff. He reached out to me, he was like, man, I would love to work with you. So he invited me to a studio. First session was free. Ro, still to this day, thank you for that. You showing that genuine love. I don't know if you know what that did for me in my journey, but the past 2 years have happened now, and I've experienced so much growth as a man, so many falls, so many mistakes, so much beating myself up, and many dark times that I've gone through, and I still go through from day to day. I tapped back in with Ro a couple months ago, and we sat down, he talked to me, and he was like, yo, I want you to know that whatever is for you is still for you. There's many times where we have to go live life to have enough to give to the art. We have to go live more life and experience more, and that's not always good, it's not always bad. Sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's not, sometimes it's painful, sometimes it's peaceful. And me, I've always been a storyteller. So as y'all know, I was writing narratives and poetry before I ever wrote raps as a child. So my gift has always been in storytelling, and the beauty of art, the reason why I say I'll never run out of content is because I make content based on my real life. Every verse y'all ever heard me spit, whether it's a song, a freestyle, it's about my real life. I do not make things up. I don't embellish. I'm giving it to y'all straight, raw, and uncut, unfiltered. It's funny, I'm actually more vulnerable in my music than I am in my real life. And I'm an open book naturally. I tell people all the time, I wear my scars. However, in my verses, you will hear every detail of my actual life, and it's extremely scary to share that with people, but I've done it for so long and I'm so comfortable in that space because I know it inspires other people. It helps bring them out of darkness that I feel very comfortable doing it, and I can't imagine not giving y'all all of me when it comes to the art. I really want to craft this body of work and give it to the world to not only help me move on, but also help other people move on from what they're going through too, because these past 2 years have broken me down like crazy, yo. When I tell y'all, I've seen the darkest of times, yo. I've looked at myself and I've seen a monster. I've looked at myself and I've been empty, and I've been numb, and I've been afraid, and I've been uncertain, and I've been lost, apprehensive, anxious. I've been depressed. I've been everything. But I've also been elated. I've been happy. I've been joyous, prosperous. I've been benevolent when I can be. Life is all about the ebbs and flows, as we know. It's never gonna be a straight shot. It's always gonna be rises and falls, and you need that because life is about polarities. When it's time for the sun to shine, the sun shines. When it's time for the moon to glow, the moon glows, and they don't ask for permission. Sometimes the good and the bad times in our life are like that. Grief, things we deal with, we have to process. We don't choose when things happen to us or what happens to us. Sometimes they just have to happen, and we have to allow them to happen. Feel whatever feelings arise, whatever emotions arise, and then we have to find a way to have perspective that, look, this is working for my best interest in the long run. And God ain't gonna never let me down. I have struggled with that over the past 2 years. I definitely have, but I know deep down that God's always had my back, and he's never led me astray, and I know he's not about to start now. I'm thinking about an album, right? I'm thinking about, I haven't done a project in, 4 years maybe? I ain't dropped a song since last year. Been writing, been doing freestyles, but I just got through a 2-year writer's block on top of that. So on one hand, life is whooping my ass, yo. On the other hand, I got writer's block and I can't even create. I'm giving so much now in my professional life that I don't wanna give. It's almost as if I have nothing left left in terms of emotional capacity to give to my art, to my family, to the things I love, and it's thrown me off completely. I'm fighting hard against it, right? I'm back in my bag. And so I'll give you a little background of how I see the album kind of coming to fruition. Very unstructured, nothing's fully done yet. It's like we're just now starting to conceptualize it. But what I've been reminded of time and time again, it's popped in my head over and over of the past 2 years, is the Icarus story. And for those who are familiar, it's a very popular myth where Icarus and Daedalus, his father, they're in prison or something. He creates these wings and they're made out of feathers and wax. And he tells his son, hey, when we fly out here and escape the prison, don't fly too low because you might sink into the ocean. Don't fly too high because you'll fly too close to the sun, your wings will melt and you'll fall to your demise. Well, Icarus has a lot of hubris. He's very cocky, he's very arrogant. He's very sure of himself when he probably shouldn't be, right? And he ends up flying too high for too long and the wax melts and he falls to his demise into the ocean and he's never seen again. That is how my story has felt since 2021, since I moved to Ohio. I've felt as if I've been in a free fall and I've been just failing in many ways and breaking down and seeing the worst of myself. And it seems like when one thing goes well, I do something else that ruins everything else. And I've seen myself be destructive to the people around me. I've seen myself hurt those I love. I've seen myself be disconnected emotionally and emotionally not just unavailable, but just exhausted and numb and empty and not understanding why I'm feeling that way. When I went back to church, y'all, this ain't no religious video, by the way. It's not about religion. But when I went back to church, and truthfully, when I entered that men's small group, I looked around and there were many men who were struggling with the same things I was. In particular, my vices, sexual impulsivity, addiction, abandonment issues, reckless behavior when it comes to what I'm doing with women, and this deep desire and need to be desired and wanted by somebody, even though on the surface, I ain't never had no issues attracting women, so I'm not pressed to bag nothing. Never have been, never will be. But still deep down, based on things in my childhood, there's something inside of me that gets a rise out of being desired at a higher level. And that's a part of why I've acted the way I have with my sexual encounters, and I haven't been too committal, and I've been kind of doing my own thing, and I'm fly by night, and I'm here and I'm there. That's been life. And when I went to that small group, I look around and I walked in. I wasn't sure I was gonna go the first day. I didn't really want to go. I was after work, 6:30, 7 o'clock. I'm overthinking, okay, when I go in there, is there gonna be seats to sit down, or are they gonna welcome me? Do I need to show up a certain way? Is there something I should prepare? How should I present myself? But I said, yo, stop thinking and move. And that's a very beautiful life lesson, yo. Stop thinking so much and just act. We don't always know the way. The way is gonna uncover itself as we take steps forward, but you gotta be moving forward to find what way you're supposed to go. Don't sit there and think about what way should I go. You're never gonna move. I showed up and I'm looking around and I'm one of the youngest guys in there. There's 45-year-old men, 35, 55, 65, 80-year-old men who are struggling with the same things I'm struggling with at 29, and they're decades older than me. These people are 2 and 3 times my age. And what I loved was everybody was very vulnerable. Everybody was open. There was no judgment. There was no weird looks or side eyes when you share something painful. Nah, we walk in there like as actual men and say, yo, my brother, tell me where you're broken at. And I start talking. We talk about what's going well in our lives, what's not going well, how we're doing physically, spiritually, emotionally. It was life changing. And it gave me a space to be very imperfect, even through my worst times. And I'm in there asking questions like, yo, how do you deal with self-guilt? How do you deal with hurting someone you love and they still love you, but they're very hurt? And every time you see them, you're reminded. How do you process that? We talk about therapy, we talk about 12-step addiction programs and things like that. That environment has been so transformative to me. I want to make that kind of the backdrop of the album. And my Icarus story, when I went to this small group and I got to finally hit the lowest of my lowest points and admit, whew, okay, I've been flying close to the sun for so many years in this area, and I never had to answer for it because I was fly by night. You know what I mean? Juice Man, Curt, whatever you want to call it. I never had to acknowledge that things I was doing being destructive to people because I never hurt anybody before. I never broke a heart. When I did it this time, and it was multiple hearts that I broke, it crushed me completely because my self-image was much different, and I was just thinking I was having fun doing my thing, and it completely tarnished how I thought about myself. And I'm still fighting hard against that guilt and self-deprecation and beating myself up. That small group, going back to church, reminding myself who I am and who I'm growing to be, and giving myself grace to find out how to get there over time. That's where my Icarus story shifts. Because as I was on my plummet and to my demise, I found a little bit of light. And that was the conversation I had. Yo, should I go? Should I go to the small group? Should I go to church? And when I made that choice to go and I stopped thinking about it and just moved, that's where I found a little bit of strength to fly again. And I'm not flying too high anymore. I'm not really strong in my flight. My wings are kind of weak and feeble, but I'm staying up. I haven't fell into the ocean. Wanted to many days, almost did many days. Had some dark thoughts. I won't go into detail about that. Y'all can probably understand what I'm talking about. But God got my back. that. And little by little, my wings are getting stronger and stronger. And I know at some point I'm gonna fly very boldly and confidently again. I'm not there yet, but I will be. And this album is just a part of that process of my therapy, my healing, my catharsis. And I know I'm not the only man, the only person that's dealt with these things. So the stuff we're gonna talk about, I promise y'all, it's gonna be my most vulnerable, my most self-aware, my most important, my most visceral, my most honest content I've ever made in my life, especially in terms of music, which is saying a lot. Like I told y'all, I share everything about my real life in my music. This is gonna be a whole nother level, yo. I feel blessed to be with the people I'm working with. I would love to move back to Chicago soon, so please pray for me. I'm trying to manifest that because I want to get back into that energy and that space. And yeah, I'm gonna climb back. I have a few working titles I'm working with. A couple of them refer to the Icarus story in direct terms. Like I think one was How Long Until the Wax Melts, or Who Cries Over Melted Wax. Right now, my favorite one is Sometimes Life is Beautiful. It means a lot to me because I think that even through those dark times and even through the worst of the worst, I remember that there's beauty. And the funny thing, which I'll talk about on the project, one of my darkest days throughout these past 2 years where I had those dark thoughts, right, was ideations. I was actually on my way to go look at bunnies in a conservatory. When I had that thought in my car and I got away from it and I got to pull up to this conservatory and look at these baby bunnies just bouncing around, jumping around, it reminded me of the beauty of life, yo. The beauty of trees, the beauty of nature, the beauty of just breathing and purity of a spirit or a being or a creature. It's so joyous, bro. They just hop around and nibble on grass and stuff. I don't know what bunnies do. They F a lot, they reproduce a lot, and they also go to the bathroom like crazy. I know that. But I don't know what bunnies really do, chew on wires, I don't know. But they seem so pure, right? They just are who they are. They are what they are. They don't try to be anything else. And it was just a beautiful experience, man. Bunnies and butterflies. And I'm looking around like, wow, sometimes life is beautiful. So we will see how it develops. I'm very excited to get back into this work. Just the other day, I wrote what I think will be the outro to this album called Humans, and it's about being human, being imperfect. What I'm excited about is that I wrote it about a week ago. It took me about a day to make the beat, to write it, to record the demo, just sit with it, write a hook. And it was the most pure creative experience I've had with music in over 2 years. And it's reminding me I'm getting myself back. So I can't wait for y'all to hear this, dog, what I'm working on. I'm not gonna shy away. I promise y'all it's gonna be well worth the wait. I'm not gonna shortchange anybody, but I hope that y'all are also taking care of yourselves, y'all. I hope that y'all are not forgetting who you are because you might have taken some time off or you took a couple steps back. Who cares? Who you are is who you are. Whatever your gift is, your job is to give the gift. That's what life is about. It's simple. It's not, life ain't easy, but it's simple. Get your gifts that God bless you with, cherish them, cultivate them, grow them, and give them to the world as widely as you can, as boldly, as confidently as you can, for as long as you can. Make the world better because you existed. That's it. And that's what I'm going to do. So yeah, man, I appreciate y'all tapping in. For the first time in mad long, yo, I'm actually going to put effort into growing this YouTube channel because I really do want to connect with more of y'all and talk about things like our mindset and how we approach our art, how we approach our lives, how we govern ourselves, how we celebrate ourselves, how we show up around other people, how we influence, how we inspire. I just can't wait to keep connecting with y'all, man. So I probably got to move out of this spot in a couple months because they trying to raise the rent. Nah, not for less space than I had in my last spot, for way less money. So nah, we moving to another spot. I'm probably gonna get the room back where I got my own studios, a whole room like I used to. And yeah, we're gonna keep creating, man. And I will see y'all soon. Appreciate y'all for tapping in. I love you all, and Godspeed.